Whoa, what's good with you, Yang Gang? This your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm up. And after the debates yesterday, Andrew Yang nailed it on the interview. And he ain't nailed it with a hammer. He nailed it with one of these bad boys right here. Hey, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
After the Democratic debate this week, entrepreneur Andrew Yang gained more Twitter followers than any other Democratic candidate, according to an analysis by Politico. Perhaps that had something to do with a contest he announced on stage. He wants to do for 10 families what he's proposing to do for all Americans, pay them a $1,000 a month dividend, freedom dividend, he calls it. Joining me now to talk about this and much more, entrepreneur and 2020 Democratic presidential candidate Andrew Yang. Mr. Yang, thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate it. I want to play some of the reactions from your fellow Democratic candidates to your announcement.
It's original, I'll give you that.
I admire and frankly take joy in hearing people with innovative ideas and who are questioning status quo and willing to challenge it.
It doesn't seem like your fellow 2020 Democratic candidates are taking your proposal very seriously. What's your response?
Oh, well, the freedom dividend's catching on like wildfire around the country because Americans realize it's not about the money. I've been personally giving the freedom dividend to several American families for months now. And when I saw one of the recipients, Kyle Christensen in Iowa, a few weeks ago, he told me he'd use some of the money to buy a guitar. And he was playing shows locally, and he was beaming. He said he was playing shows for the first time in years. For him, it was a guitar. For Jody Fassey in New Hampshire, it was car repairs. For Mallory Shannon in Florida, it was going back to school. So Americans are waking up to the fact that we can solve our own problems if we have a dividend that gives us some extra resources to do.
Hey, Andrew Yang's response on freedom dividend, nailed it. Especially how he responded to them saying that they didn't take him serious as a serious candidate. And I did do a video about Kamala Harris. I said she's going to be joining the Yang game. I said she want to throw jokes, we could throw jokes back. Well, let's continue on this video.
There's been a lot of debate about the legality of your proposal, not the proposal in terms of the larger freedom and dividend if you become president, but what you're doing as an individual candidate. Larry Noble, the former general counsel of the Federal Election Commission, told CNN that what you're proposing would not be legal. It's not legal, he says, to give those 10 families money from your campaign to use however they want. But are you sure that you're on solid legal ground?
Yeah, we have an army of lawyers who've signed off on it, and we're sure that this is perfectly legal. But I do want to reflect for a moment, Jake, on the fact that if I gave $1 million to a media company or consultants or hired like a small army of canvassers, no one would blink an eye. But if we give the money directly to the American people, somehow that's problematic. So it just speaks to how messed up our system is, where giving money directly to Americans actually raises eyebrows.
Hey, don't that sound like Andrew Yang did the math? Men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. Math, facts.
Let's talk about another issue you talk about a lot on the campaign trail. You warn that automation is going to result in catastrophic layoffs in the United States. Some experts say that your fears are overblown. They point to the unemployment rate at a 50-year low, labor productivity increases that have stagnated, not what you would expect to see if robots were indeed taking over. Are you concerned at all that you might be overstating the threat of automation?
Well, what's indisputable, Jake, is that manufacturing employment went down by 4 million over the last number of years, and the vast majority of that was due to robots and automation. It's also indisputable that despite this headline unemployment rate, labor force participation is at a multi-decade low of 63%, and millions of Americans have stopped participating in the workforce, which artificially makes that unemployment rate look better, much better than it actually is in real life.
I want to ask you about something.
And with automation, they can't see with their own two eyes when you go inside of a Walmart, when you go inside even a McDonald's, places where they used to have people doing the job, they have robots doing the job now. That should automatically let a person know if there's a person that's not doing the job, that's a job loss. Easy, common sense. I guess 2 + 2 don't equal 4 to everybody. Well, I guess it's called math.
Life.
I want to ask you about something that you tweeted about at length this weekend. One of the 3 new cast members for Saturday Night Live, a guy named Shane Gillis from Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, he offered what I think critics would call a half-hearted apology for having used racial slurs in his act, specifically against Asian Americans, including specifically against you. Now, you tweeted yesterday about what it feels like to be called these horrific racial slurs, but you also said that you forgive the comedian and you hope others can as well. As one of the most prominent Asian American political figures, did you feel any special responsibility to try to reflect what others in the Asian American community are feeling, or were you just speaking for yourself?
Well, there have been a number of reactions to my call for forgiving Shane Gillis, and I've experienced a lot of anti-Asian racism throughout my upbringing, and it hurts, and it's something that's very real, and I do think anti-Asian racial epithets are not taken as seriously as slurs against other groups. But at the same time, bigger picture, I believe that our country has become excessively punitive and vindictive about remarks that people find offensive or racist, and that we need to try and move beyond that if we can, particularly in a case where the person, is in this case, to me, like a comedian whose words should be taken in a slightly different light.
I always say I would feel offended if South Park did make a racist joke about black people, because I feel like if it's a comedian and they're making jokes, I don't take it as serious. And then on the other hand, we take it a little bit too serious about stereotypical types and stuff like that. By me being from Louisiana, from the South, we known for being able to cook. That's not bad stereotypical. Like, hey, we put seasoning in our food. Yes, we do. We cook with a lot of seasonings. So, and with Popeyes, you know how it is. So if you get a taste, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, though, with that being said, I'm just want to say is when people get to talking about all this racism thing, there's so much tension right now that any little small thing people ready to blow up about. So what Andrew Yang is basically trying to propose is the freedom dividend to get some of that tension off of people, so we won't be so jump gun about racism things, especially when it be something minor or something like that. With the American people, we know when it's just a harmless joke and when it's just funny. Even with a lot of black people, sometimes I done noticed more white people get offended about some things about black people when sometimes the black people don't get offended about it them damn selves. Sometimes it be adjusted and black people will say, hey, we don't like this here, this is too far, or other races and stuff like that. We just need to learn boundaries. Basically what I'm saying. Once we learn a boundary and we better talk amongst each other and recognize the difference and respect each other's differences and acknowledge and love the difference in the different people. Once we get to that stage, we'll better accept that different people like different things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But anyway, though, he like math. That's what they say about Asians. They say black people like chicken and watermelon. And I do. But they got white people that like chicken and watermelon too. So, but that's just a stereotypical thing, but it doesn't matter. But anyway, though, let's go and continue.
That would allow college athletes to sign endorsement deals and earn some money off their likenesses. If you were president, would you push for a similar bill at a national level?
I 100% would. I am so glad that Gavin's leading on this. To me, it's immoral that you have institutions that are profiting to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars in some cases, and then they're saying these athletes are amateurs and they can't receive a dime. They can't even get money for autographs or appearance fees or their likeness being used on video games. And so we need to own up to the fact that many of these athletes are massive revenue generators for these institutions and start compensating them accordingly.
And yes, with the athletes, hell yeah. Southern University, LSU University, Grambling State University. This is colleges that's in my home state that I know that's gouging these kids for playing sports. And basically, I'm talking about like the big hard sports like football and basketball and baseball. They're making millions of dollars. In the state of Louisiana, LSU owns damn near the state of Louisiana, basically. They have so much money that they're earning off the backs of these college students. It should be a crime shame that they got these kids struggling, talking about paying school tuition, but they're making millions of dollars for them that outsees the college tuitions. I can see if they say, okay, a portion of it have to go to a college tuition, or even not even your college tuition. It just have to be something that a sponsorship program or something, but you would have to learn some type of responsibility. I can understand something like that and being able to give back to the people, and you got to do so much community service or whatever like that, but they still need to implement paying these athletes who out there putting their bodies on the line. I mean, to me, it's simple. Simple math. Like simple math, like 2 + 2 = 4, simple math. Well, let's go ahead and continue with this video.
The fact that many of these athletes are massive revenue generators for these institutions and start compensating them accordingly.
Andrew Yang, we've been trying to get you on the show for a while. It's good to have you here. I hope you'll come back. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jake. I know it's been overdue, but I appreciate it.
Oh, my bad. That was the end. I didn't even know it. But it still was an amazing interview. When I say Andrew Yang, he's actually becoming whole. He's starting to become more comfortable. He's starting to become more himself. Everybody else is starting to take note of him and biting off of him, and they trying to act like they throwing him to the side, like, oh, he a nobody. He trying to push him down. So the people that's out there looking will say, oh, he's not serious. He's not serious. They trying to keep that because that's their last grain of hope to try to stop the Yang gang. Well, this your boy Triple Cup Chuck, and I'm out. And remember, I don't do this for me, I do this for we. So like, share, subscribe, holler at your boy. And don't forget, man, they trying to choke me out on YouTube. And y'all, if you can see the proof in there, but it's cool. I'm doing this for you and me and we gonna do this thing. Well, I'm up out of here. Later. Peace. Deuces. And Andrew Yang, one more last time. Nailed it. I'm crazy.